In our last class, we discussed about the safety habits. So, how we have to be safe, what you have to do and what you should not do when you are in home or when you are outside. Okay. So, like if you are going outside, how do you go? If we are going outside, if the place where we have to go, if it is very near to us, we'll go by walk. Okay. Or otherwise, how? Then we'll go along with your father or mother. We'll go on a bike. Or who cannot go on a bike, they will use what they will use. They will use bus. Or these days we are mostly going in the cabs, cars. Okay, vehicles. On any vehicle. And if it is very far places, we'll go in a train, and the buses also, we can go in the buses, we can go in a trains, and if we want to go very fast, then we'll opt for an aeroplane also. So what are all these things like bus, car, bike, train, aeroplane? What are all these things? All these vehicles will help us from moving one place to another place. Yes or no? All these vehicles are helping us to move from one place to another place easily. If we go on a walk, go on our legs, will we be able to go? Can we go to a long distance on our foot? No, we can't. So, all these vehicles are helping us to move from one place to another place easily. So, what are these? These are means of transport. Yes, today's our topic is means of transport. So, whenever you are here moving from one place to another place, these vehicles will help us in moving. They are called means of transport. Means of transport. Okay, children. Means of transport. Page number 60. Okay. See, look at the following pictures of vehicles that we use to travel from one place to another. Can you identify them? Which one of these do you see more commonly around you? See, this is a helicopter, ship, car, cycle. So, car and cycle will be seen mostly. These two, some or the other time we will be using, not in our day-to-day activities. Most of the day-to-day activities will be done with the car or a bike. So, transport. We use different vehicles to go to different places. The way of carrying goods and people from one place to another is known as transport. The vehicles used for carrying people or goods from one place to another are known as means of transport. Some vehicles are used for long distances, some are used for short distances. Okay. We use different vehicles. As I told you, car, train, bus, bikes, and trains, so lorries. So all these vehicles we use to go from one place to another place. The way of carrying goods from one place to another place is known as transport. The vehicles which are carrying the people, the vehicles like cars, we are going from one place to another place, it is called transport, and the vehicles which are carrying us, they are called means of transport. And some vehicles are used for the long distances and some are for the short distances. Traveling in the past. In earlier days, how they used to travel? Our world is huge, so we cannot reach all the places by walking. It's a very huge place. We cannot go everywhere on our foot. We use different vehicles to reach different places. But do you know that many years ago, people used to travel from one place to another place on foot? It's so surprising, no? Now these days we are not going from one place to a small distance. Also, we are not covering on our foot. We need a cycle. We need a bike to go to that short distance also. But in earlier days, many years ago, they used to go from one place to another place on their foot. They used to carry their goods on their shoulders or drag them on the sledges, which were made with logs of wood tied together. Later, they also began to use animals such as elephants, bullocks to carry their goods. They also realized that if they tied a sledge to a pack of animals, more goods can be transported. So, in earlier days, they used to travel on the legs, and whatever they wanted to carry from one place to another, they used to carry on their heads or on their shoulders. Again, they thought of different plans and they used to drag them on the sledges. Then afterwards, what they have tried, they started using the animals. See, foxes, elephants, camels, bullocks, all these animals they started using for transporting from one place to another place. Then they also thought, like, if we tie these sledges, see these sledges to the animals, we can carry more things. If a person is there, how much weight he can carry, only that much he can carry on his shoulder, on his head. But if it is the animal is dragging the cart, then he can put more things in the cart and animals can drag. Early people perhaps also noticed that logs of wood rolled down the steep ground easily. This might have given them the idea of wheels. The addition of wheels to the sledge helped it to move faster. First, the sledge is only the flat one. So, on the sledge they used to keep the things and they used to just drag it on the ground. Okay, they used to just drag it with the human beings or some animals they used to tie here and they used to drag it. But afterwards they got the idea that if the wood is cut in a circle, in the shape of a circle, and if it is attached to the sledge, then it will roll down. They got the idea that if the circle is made of like wooden wheels, they will roll on the, if it is a flat surface, it will roll, it will be very easy to drag. Then they attached this wheel to the sledges and tied the animals, then it became very easy for them to move faster. Then, traveling today on land. So, these days, earlier how they used to travel? They used to travel on the walk, on their foot, or they used to drag the sledges, and afterwards, after some years, they got the idea about the wheels and they have attached the wheels, and on the bullock carts or sledges they used to move. But these days how they are moving? Nowadays in cities and towns there are various means of transport. We can travel by buses, cars, auto rickshaws, bicycles and cycle rickshaws. In some parts of our country, especially in villages and small towns, bullock carts, camel carts and tongas are also used to move from one place to another to carry goods. All these vehicles run on roads. So, on land means on the road. How they are traveling in cities and towns and villages, which you have seen these days. What are they? Buses, cars, auto rickshaws, bicycles, cycle rickshaws, and in villages we find bullock carts, camel carts, tongas. They are also used to travel from one place to another place. The people or in tongas or bullock carts they will keep the things and goods also can be transported. All these vehicles they run on the roads. Trains are another mode of land transport. Trains are also another mode of land transport. However, they run on the tracks because trains cannot run on the flat surfaces. They need tracks. They cannot run on the roads like this. No, they need tracks. So, train will run on these tracks only. If we have to lay down the tracks wherever the train has to run. So these tracks are called rails. Trains carry people and goods to different parts of the country. In our country, cities such as Kolkata, Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai and Chennai have metros for traveling within the city also. So we have trains in different cities. Even now we have metro trains in our places also. Not only in Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, even in Telangana we have metro trains. Yes, Secunderabad, Hyderabad, we have metro trains here also to travel within the city. Traveling today on water. So this is traveling on the land, buses, cars, and traveling on the tracks with the trains, and traveling on the water means boats, ships. We use different means of water transport to travel across the lakes, rivers, seas and oceans. If we have to go in the seas, lakes, rivers, then what we have to use? We have to use boats are used to travel short distances on water. Rafts are used to travel across the streams and rivers. We sail on the ships to travel long distances. Ships are big in size and carry large number of people and goods. See, boats are used to travel only the short distances. How cycles are used for short distances? In the same way, short distances in the water, if it is a short distance, we can use the boat. Then, if we have to travel in the streams and rivers, we will use the raft. And if we have to travel a long distance and many people at a time, then we will use the ships. Ships are big in size and they can carry many people and more goods also at a time. Traveling today in air. In air, how we will travel? We travel in the air by aeroplanes and helicopters. Aeroplanes are the fastest means of transport. They cover long distances in a very little time. We also travel in hot air balloons for joy rides. Hot air balloons are not meant for moving from one place to another place. They are only for the joy rides, hot air balloons. Look like this. Okay, these kind of things we are seeing these days. Many things. So aeroplanes are the fastest means of transport. They cover a very long distance in a little time. So this is about the traveling in the air. Then fuel. Fuel means what? Fuel is like petrol, diesel and CNG. So why do we need a fuel? We need fuel in the cars, buses, auto rickshaws. Do we need fuel in the cycles? No, we don't need fuel in the cycle. With our speed only we will ride our cycles. So auto rickshaws, cars, buses, trains, aeroplanes, everything we need fuel. Most modern vehicles such as cars, buses, scooters, motorcycles, etc. use engines to run. So inside the vehicles, they will arrange the engines. So if the engines will run, then only the vehicles will move. Then how these engines will run? If we pour the fuel in that. These vehicles need petrol, diesel or CNG as a fuel to run. Steamers and steam trains need coal to run. Most fuels are not good for our environment because when they are burned, they give out smoke that makes the air dirty. We must avoid using vehicles that use such fuels. As far as possible, we should walk or cycle to travel short distances. This keeps us healthy and also help us to save fuel. Okay, most modern vehicles. So, all the modern vehicles such as cars, buses, scooters, motorcycles use the engines inside. So, in these engines, how these engines will run? They will run on the fuel. What are the fuels? Petrol, diesel and CNG. And steamers will run on the steam. Steamers and steam trains need coal to run. Okay, all steamers and steam will need coal to run. So most fuels are not good for our health because they release the pollution. Okay, because when they are burnt, they give out smoke that makes our air dirty. So when the petrol is burning, diesel is burning, or coal is burning, it will give out the smoke, and that smoke will go and mix up into the air, and it will pollute the air. And if we breathe the polluted air, there will be a lot of diseases we will occur. We will get many diseases. So all the time we must avoid using vehicles that use such fuels as far as possible. It's not that completely avoid the vehicles, but we should reduce. If we are covering a short distance, we should not go on the bikes. We should use our walk, or we can go on a bicycle. It will be an exercise for us, and it will not pollute the air. We should walk or cycle to travel the short distances. This keeps us healthy and also helps us to save fuel. We need to save the fuel for the future use. If we are using more fuel now, then in future our children will not be able to use the fuel again. They need to go back and they have to use the bullock carts, vehicles, on the wheels, or animals, vehicles on wheels. So this we need to save the fuel, and now for traveling a small distance also, if we are using the vehicles, we will pollute the air, and we will just we are polluting the air. Breathing that air, we are making ourselves sick. So most of the times try to avoid the using of the vehicles for short distances. For a long distance anyway we have to go, but for short distances avoid using the vehicles of the which will use the fuel. Okay, this is about the means of transport. So we will discuss the next exercises and everything in our next class. Have a good day.